Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're going to be putting diesel oil in my 4-valve motor that's smoking pretty badly, just to see if we can get those rings to seat using a thicker oil and being able to put more miles on it and being able to do more decel without losing a lot of oil. We don't want to knock the bottom end, and we're going to see if we can get those rings to seat. If not, we're going to have to pull that motor yet again. That 4-valve motor has been in and out of that car more than I have been in and out of something else in my life. Alright guys, let's get into today's video. So when I was putting this motor together, I thought when I took it apart that it was the rings that caused the issue. It was actually the head seals that was giving us such a bad issue, and valve springs breaking. So I changed all the springs and we didn't have any issues in the head again. What was the actual issue with putting this motor back together was that I bought 10 oval piston rings, and the cylinder walls and the pistons were fine, so this wasn't the issue. And when I was trying to get those rings to fit, because you take a ring, use a piston, you push it down into the cylinder, and they were overlapping how big they were. So I was trying to use a manual ring filer, and it was taking way too long. So I took cutting pliers to them and started to cut them. So most likely I cut them in the wrong direction or didn't have the right end to them when I was done cutting them. I probably put too big of a gap, and I knew all of this stuff before I even put the motor together. So I was just wishful thinking, the gap wasn't right, and rushing to make a video instead of making sure that the car was going to be healthy, and I messed up yet again. So the main reason why the motor came apart was actually because the heads had a bunch of broken valve springs, and they got broken because I left those C-heads outside in weather, I guess. They had them wrapped up in a plastic bag, but I guess the heat cold of every day probably messed up the springs, probably the moisture, something. Changed all the springs when I had the motor apart. Heads are perfect now, no issues out the head. Changed the rings, thinking that the rings were the issue, and I messed up the entire bottom end. So we got to pull this motor, we got to re-ring it, new head gaskets, new head bolts. The best part is all of those MMR parts are reusable, those coolant parts are reusable. Hopefully, just like every other time I take this motor apart, this will be the last time I have to go through all of this. So all of the little odds and ends that I know what might be wrong with the motor, like I have 2 bolts in my timing setup that are like not the right size, so I might just tap the block and put the right size bolt in it. I'm gonna take my time this time and put this thing together properly. Anytime you see I mess up on this channel, I'm gonna be transparent with you guys. I'm not gonna say that it magically broke when I knew exactly what happened. I was rushing. I slapped the thing together using cutting pliers to try to get those 10 over rings to the right ring gap, and some of them probably just never did. The main thing that comes to my mind when I think about those rings is that the oil ring was bunching up and touching when I put them in. They're supposed to have a gap, and they were like this when I put those on the piston, and most likely that's where the failure came from. So we're gonna take it apart. We're gonna buy some head gaskets, buy some head bolts. We're gonna clean everything up. I'm most likely gonna repaint it, do all this nice stuff to it, and hopefully the next time this motor starts up, cranks up, it's gonna be running like a perfect 4-valve 4.6 liter motor. So thank you guys so much for watching. We have a lot of work to do. We got to pull this motor out, we got to rebuild it. I appreciate you guys always tuning in, like, sharing, and subscribing. If you guys want to donate to the channel to help things move along quicker than they normally do, that would be great. My PayPal is always down in the description. Thank you, like I said earlier, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Always remember, don't drift without your dreams, and I'll get you guys on the next one.